Okay, how's everybody doing? So yeah, this is a back-to-back content video. I made one yesterday, and now I'm making one today, which was actually planned because I had so much to go over. And so this is I wanted to show off some of the stuff I've built and completed. So yeah, this is the January car of the month, Gaslands UK car of the month vehicle that I made, and it's called the Shokaku, and it's a Japanese bullet train that has been converted into a land carrier for, and I'm running it as a Michigan bus with a nuclear engine, and it's got the rockets and tank tracks. So, and it's pretty fun build. Most of it is made out of 3D printed parts, popsicle sticks, toothpicks, chicken wire, and paper clips. You got the Toyota van here and this old snowmobile thing, and they combine basically to make the tower to the carrier, and the tank tracks came off the same snow plows that these were. I think they're snowcats or something. Anyway, so I split those in half and then worked them on either side, and you can kind of see here on the bottom where I built basically a hard paper base so they kind of hold up, and because I don't have plastic card, and I wish I did have some plastic card. I would have made it out of that, but so yeah, you got craft paper side skirts here. And this came off of the spotlight came off of a one, I want to say it's a 1/48th scale car, and I'm not sure where the exhausts came off of. I think it was a Dollar Tree toy, and this was the intake is a Final Faction part. But so yeah, it's still mostly pretty much scratch built. Outside of that, the flight deck and the stuff, the seat that the mechanic is sitting on, I kind of scratch built that, and also a 1/700th scale Yukikaze cruiser went into this for the parts where you see the gun turrets and stuff. So the rockets, I imagine these are probably like land torpedoes in the lingo. But yeah, so 3D printed these zeros and everything, and these are my remote control RC bombs. I guess it's redundant to say RC and remote control, but anyway, the point of the matter is I use these as RC car bombs, and so that's kind of the idea of this carrier. Is it launches the RC car bombs and can defend itself with these point defense guns and the rockets, so you don't want to get in front of this bus. And so yeah, it was a fun build. It was a challenge to build this, and so you have the little flag here. It moves back and forth, and so you got real naval signal flags. See if I can zoom it in here. It's wanting to blur when I zoom in, and so I know some of the signals are like stay away, and there's explosives on board and some other things. Yeah, I put all this together, and let's see here. You got the little zeros here, and when I 3D printed them, some of them didn't print out as well as I'd hoped. So I basically battle damaged them a little bit, and which is fine, because I mean it's post-apocalyptic. It's not supposed to be pristine and shiny. It's still a fighting machine. So you got the IJN for Imperial Japanese Navy. You got this lookout here. all the uniforms are on the crew. I looked up references for what Japanese sailors in World War II wore, so it's not accurate, but it's close to the color schemes more than anything. And then, of course, you've got, like here on this flag here, it says Gaslands Ichiban, so Gaslands #1. And on the back here, you actually have, Japanese aircraft carrier train Shokaku. All of this was done freehand. I tried to make little templates, but I couldn't get it to look right, so I had to just do it freehand. And so you got the mechanic here. He's getting tools to work on this RC car plane. And that's Hello Kitty in Japanese, because you got bonus points for Hello Kitty references, so I wanted to put a few in there. And here's the second Hello Kitty reference, is the little cat with the bow on his head, or her head, I should say. And then you got all the radar stuff. The radar is made out of the front grille off of a pickup truck. I think it was a Mack truck. And all these little turrets and stuff. Because buses are supposed to count as having 8 crew for pistol shots, there's really not that many firing points on this train. So I figured it was better to have like use the little Yukikaze cruisers guns as representations of handguns and rifles and whatnot that the crew would have. And these are automated, so this would could spin here and spin there, and the back ones cover the rear. So, and then of course you have the front here. It says Tora Tora Tora, which was the what was called out during the attack on Pearl Harbor. And then you have this is command tower, officers only. So it's all that was done by hand, and it was a challenge, but I think it really turns out well. And there's, like I said, the flight deck was popsicle sticks, and what I did was, you can see the popsicle sticks were this wide, and I scored them down the line, and then I alternated across to make it look more like wooden planks that were laid down, because the carriers, the Japanese carriers, were wooden topped. And the other thing is, of course, in like U.S. carriers, the tower is midway the ship. On the Shokaku, it was forward. And so you have this, again, another point defense gun. And all the armor was made from the metal off of a coffee tin that was just flattened out, made rivets. There's a good guide on how to make this from, I believe it's Wasteland Raceway, that did how to make armor plating. And that's the technique I use, is their technique. And so the rest of it's, like I said, Dollar Tree toys and stuff that I mixed up, and some thread to make the cabling. And then you got the little, I call it chicken wire, but it's actually from a strainer, because it looks like chicken wire to me. And so that's to catch anything that falls off the side. It's not completely, it's Gaslands. It's not technically up to OSHA standard, but it's there. And so yeah, it's, you have the little flight elevator, brings them up. This guy here assembles them, gets them ready to launch. If I did this over again, I think I would have made this a little bit wider, but hindsight's 20/20. And yeah, so did all that by hand. And so then you got these guys here. So these on the deck are glued down so they don't move around. So I needed some to actually chase other vehicles. And again, one thing about RC car bombs is people forget that they're actually equipped with a handgun, because they count as crew one, and everything that has a crew is equipped with a handgun. So a lot of people forget that these things can actually be throwing out 1d6 of damage by themselves. A lot of people just fly them into, oh, well, these will fly into things, but most of them just run them into things and blow them up before they ever get to do any damage. So you don't actually have to use them in a kamikaze manner, but, you know, it still fits because it's what it is. So I had a lot of fun building this, though. It was challenging to get everything to fit right, and but as like I said, it's definitely a historical reference, and it's definitely something I really enjoyed building, and building it to look like something that would roll out of the wastelands. It also kind of has a Jawa sandcrawler profile to it too, which I didn't realize until much later. But still, I like it. I like how it turned out. And then we got, because I used the cruiser Yukikaze for the parts, I decided to make the Escort ship. The skyline is called the Yukikaze, and it's got a arc lightning cannon on the front and a turreted magnetic jammer to jam other people's weapons, so they can't fire on the carrier. And this says Ride the Lightning on the side. And this is Yukikaze, even though it's backwards, because in all the pictures I've seen of the Yukikaze for the reference, it's backwards, and I don't know why. And then I got, this actually came off of the box for the Yukikaze. I just cut it off, and then I painted it up to look like a metal board and glued it on the back for armor. And then you got this guy here with the bow and arrow to dissuade people from pursuing. But yeah, it was definitely a fun build. This was a lot more simpler to do than the aircraft carrier, that's for sure. And I printed these out with my 3D printer as well. So these are, of course, RC car bombs. But these are for other teams to use. These are a little more on the generic side of things. And so you got two of these Fat Man bombs. That one didn't quite print well on the back, but it still worked. I like 3D printing, but sometimes it doesn't always go the way you intend it to go. Especially the smaller the piece gets. But a lot of that also has to do with the fact that I've only had it for a year or so, so I'm still learning. But yeah, I think they look good. And then the other thing was I made these, and these are my Sentry guns. I was originally going to print them out for using for turrets. For some of the scenarios, which I guess they still will work fine for that. But these are shrank down Warhammer 40k-ish tarantula turrets. And I decided they're better for sentry guns that are dropped by the cars. And so I got 3 red, 3 blue, 3 yellow, and this one lone poor green fellow here. So I might have to print out a couple more to give him some company. But yeah, they're still good for sentry guns. Might make, one of the reasons why I decided that these are too small is because the sentry guns are lightweight destructible obstacles in the game. The actual turrets for the scenarios are medium weight, so that means they're the same weight as cars. So even though the firepower is the same with a 2d6 firepower, it's I still think I need to make them bigger for running into things. But you know, they're still fun. These were real easy to print out, and so, and they're easy to paint too. So because they're so small, but then they're on these little MDF boards. I like using MDF over plastic. It's, you can call me crazy, but I like the smell of it. So I like the smell, the burnt wood smell. So, and then the other thing is, of course, a lot of the Gaslands scenarios require flags. To capture the flag tag, you know. So I made these, and I didn't want to just have a pole sticking in the ground. I wanted something that they say to use a 30mm base. So that's what these are. These are 30mm bases. You got this one here. It's, some of these are generic. Some of these are actually the sponsors. But I guess it really doesn't matter that much there. And these again are, most of these are wrecks from previous competitors. So this one here is a Yukikaze Quantum flag. This one here is a Rutherford flag that somebody decided they didn't like poor old Grant Rutherford's image and took offense to it. That's probably a Grant Rutherford truck with a camo. And so these weren't too hard to paint. But I use a lighter to kind of nick the edges of the paper. And then to make the paper stiff, you just use Mod Podge. It's very simple. And you can see a little bit of epoxy to make the oil spills and stuff. These are little these are parts off of a Rommel's half track. I can't, it's the SDKF something. I can't think of the name of it right offhand. It's his personal half track. This came off of that model kit. And so yeah, got Highway Patrol. And then this one here can be Scarlet and flag, or just, you know, generic pirate flag. I like the look of it. So and then you got the scythe on this car. Probably a Michigan vehicle that ended up a bad teleporter accident. Then you got Miyazaki. So this kind of goes with the vehicle here. The Japanese vehicle here. And you got more sludge I made with epoxy inside a wheel. And then you got this one here. This is GNR radio. Again, I use a lot of Fallout references because post-apocalyptic. But, you know, a little bit of decals, a little bit of these rub-on decals for, they're actually Gundam, but they work. We got Slime, our favorite anarchists of Australia. And this poor Indy car had a bad day, and now it's this troubleshooter. I saw this picture online when I was looking for post-apocalyptic signs. I don't know if this is a real company or not, but I like the look of it. I like the fact that there's a hot rod on it. So that's the other flag. And I made 8 of those. So there's enough for a 4-player game of Gaslands. And then I've made a bunch of these, and I found that one of these escaped my collection without having these flags, so I added some flags for this one here. And so there's that one. But now the real star of the terrain show is going to be what I call the mountain. And that is this creation. And try not to crush my poor little RC car bombs. And so yeah, this is a Matchbox road. And it's modular, so it fits with all the other roads I made. And so these are a bunch of El Cheapo cars that I just smashed and crushed with the vise and snipped up with metal snips and stuff, and just basically went to town with it. And then hot glued them all together. And then regular glue, sand, and it's basically all the cars that have lost the races. And so you got this pink Corvette with a teddy bear on the hood. And you got this like Wolf GT40 and Nissan with, again, like I said, I got some of these decals from Gundam, so that car was sponsored by Bandai, and that's how far I got. And these came with the monster trucks, the Hot Wheels monster trucks. And so again, you got the I use these Water Effects epoxy to well, it's Gorilla Glue clear epoxy, and it's pretty much what everybody uses for water effects. If you want to do any kind of, you can see how much I love using this because I'm about out. But you just mix this up and add you a drop of, like for this I was doing oil, so a little bit of black magic, and boom, I have oil spills, and that's got the shininess to it, and it looks great. So these poor cars have seen better days, and so they were all piled up, and they're leaking out all the goo. Got the highway patrol guy at the top. That old vehicle's probably the driver got nuked because this is the least one beat up. But anyway, I like this. And one reason I wanted to make such a big obstacle was because roads in the game give you an extra shift, which is good to have. And so if you're going to have a stretch of road where everybody's going to be wanting to get on that road for the benefits of it, you want to have a detriment to being on the road. So, yeah, you're going to have this clean set of road coming up to this. But you're going to have to get off into the dirt, or there could be, hazards and stuff that, you could have, the turrets sitting here. So as they come over, they're going to get shot at it this way or whatever. It's part of building the track and how to build the track in a way that is unique. But I'm really happy with this. I think it looks really good. I can imagine there's probably even some people that live in the slums in the Gaslands that probably camp out in these places to watch the races, and nick parts and stuff. So anyway, that's it for today. I've got to figure out what I'm going to do for the next car of the month competition, and it's Egyptian themed. So I'm thinking something Sekhmet, or best. What do you guys think? I'm not for sure. I really don't know. I might not even do this one because I've only got 2 weeks to do it. But if I do, then this is what it's going to be based off of. And so that's it. As always, like, share, subscribe, and thank you for spending time with me and listening to my voice. And take care, be safe, and goodbye.